This is the weekly wrap up for the week ending February the 3rd, 2024, and I am Jay Cleveland Payne. The weekly wrap up presented by The Conversation Project gives you the top 10 stories based on your engagement with the Conversation Project feeds on Facebook and Twitter or X from the Friday the 26th of January through Friday the 2nd of February. We are going to give you just the top 10 stories as you said it. Now, we have a daily show, a daily weekday show called Things You Might Not Have Heard. It gives you 8 stories. On Monday, it's 10 stories that were the top from the previous iteration that are kind of mixed up from the top, grappling them, and we put into a smaller iteration. These are for the full week's top 10 stories that you said were engaging. Some that we didn't talk about, some we did not, including what we have to give you some perspective. The almost ran, some that we did talk about, some that we did not, that are not top 10 material, 11 to 15, give you perspective of what stories are out there that were close, and real perspective on what stories you cared nothing about. And that is for this week, the almost irrelevant story of the week. This week, that story happens to be listed all the way down to a very fine number that is 228. 228. The 228th most engaging story of the week, which is way, way less engaging than number one story. We'll tell you about that in a moment. Go to our website. This is theconversationproject.com for more details on how we do the Conversation Project every single day, and email us when you are in the mood to ask us questions about what's going on at theconversationproject.com. Oh, by the way, we are totally hyping up ourselves this month, so we're doing the extra special super duper pledge drive stuff, so be prepared for that to come when we promote the show. It's coming. It's coming. Let's get into the actual headlines so we can get into the stuff we're talking about. As we said, week ending February the 3rd, 2023, and these are the top 10 stories per year, pure engagement. We had nothing to do with it. We just put them out there. You said what was the tops. Number 10 story listed for this week has this headline. Cardell Hayes found guilty of 2016 killings of ex-Saints D.N. Smith. Cardell Hayes was found guilty of the 2016 shooting of former NFL player Will Smith. The incident happened after a traffic disagreement turned extremely violent. Hayes claimed self-defense, but the jury's decision concluded that it was not quite the case. He now faces prison sentences for his actions. The verdict comes after a long and emotional trial that's been closely watched due to his high-profile nature of the people involved and debates around self-defense laws themselves. Well-known player in the community in Los Angeles, a big loss for the community as when this happened, and so obviously Hayes didn't have much of a chance in his defense when it got down to the fact that it was not self-defense. It was something that was essentially initiated by him in the serious situation, and there was no way out of that one. Let's move on to the story that's listed at number 9 for this week. That headline reads like this. Another sports one, oddly enough, but on the other spectrum. Rockets' Jalen Green rumored to have knocked up basketball wives star Drea. Now, normally we stay out of these things, but as you know, if you're a follower of the Conversation Project, we post all sorts of things all sorts of time because it's all about what you are engaging in. And if you want to engage in it, it gets there. We didn't talk about this throughout the week as we had the weekly chances, but this was, as you can see, as a top 10 story, highly regarded when we posted on the weekend and stuck around all weekend long and a few days as well. The Houston Rockets guard Jalen Green has had an interesting start to his career, but the biggest thing is while people in Houston kind of want him to go away, he's off the court scoring big time, pun intended. Apparently he is dating basketball wives star, or former basketball wives star, Drea Michelle, and essentially got her pregnant. They're both legal age. He's in his 20s, she's in his 30s, so it's no big deal, but it's just one of those things that's happening. They're spotted together here or there. You know, it's how famous people do famous people stuff. But the biggest thing is what he should be known for, playing basketball. He's known to not be fairly good at it, at least not with his team, but what he shouldn't be so much known for, being the player on the street. Apparently, that one's working out fairly well. Congratulations, Jalen Green. Our story at the number 8 spot for this week has this headlines. Boy star Erin Moriarty quits IG after Megyn Kelly accused her of plastic surgery. Now, a bit of housekeeping here. We do an apologies section in the Daily Show. We don't have one here per se, but apology here. I'm going to say right up front. We had a whole lot of Taylor Swift going on, and we're not getting away from a whole lot of Taylor Swift, but we combined a bunch of things that were essentially the same thing. Beginning of the week, we had this story, which was really hot and heavy, and that was that Erin Moriarty dropped herself from Instagram because of a lot of flack she was taking from Megyn Kelly, and Megyn Kelly would start taking flack from giving, beef to Erin Moriarty. At the end of the week, we actually had an update to this where she actually was out and about, being seen in public, walking her dogs and doing things after all the backlash. Essentially, she played recluse for about a week or so and then pulled herself off Instagram and then didn't want to do anything. But she's out and about in public, still not on the social media because of all the talk about her seemingly having plastic surgery. If you're watching the video, you see the picture of her right here. And this is a recent picture where she looks like how she looks. People have been judging various pictures, various things going on, and saying what's been done or not done to her. She says no plastic surgery, and she says kind of lay off for a bit. So we're going to lay off for a bit and move on to the story that is next. The headline for number 7 reads, Executives from CBS frustrated with Tony Romo and Jim Nantz. That's not exactly how I read, but it's what it says because essentially CBS is getting tired of their shtick. CBS executives are reportedly frustrated with their top commentary team because they're not performing as well as they have liked. They've essentially been high performers and still doing great broadcasts, but essentially their shtick is getting old. The back and forth is going on. Tony Romo coming up with the plays before the people call the plays is becoming a bit of a pain, apparently. This actually does puts pressure on CBS to figure out who the top team should be, who should move around, especially as this upcoming year, the new shiny toy, which is going to be Tom Brady doing his commentary for sports, for football, is going to be a big deal. So will Tony Romo be able to hold up to Tom Brady? Obviously didn't hold up to him when he was playing football against each other. We'll see what happens when the commentary teams goes up and if Brady actually can pull the trigger and make this thing work out on his side of the television or field, if you will. The story we have listed at number 6 for this week, and these, again, are stories that are in the order that you voted them in with your engagement all week. Travis Kelce confirms he won't be attending Grammys with Taylor Swift, wishes he could watch her win. There was a lot of back and forth about the love affair with Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce, as it should be, because it's cute, it's adorable, it's lovable. But here's the thing that's going on. Travis Kelce has been garnering a whole lot of some heat from some individuals, some weird individuals, and just love in general because Taylor Swift is showing up at football games and showing her in the box and she's doing interviews and she's on the field kissing them after they win the division championship and all the great stuff going on, stuff like that. But what is Travis Kelce doing for Taylor Swift? He went to a concert in South America. Okay, that's great. She's going to the Grammys this week. She's going to win a bunch of stuff. He can't come. Why? He's got this football game next weekend, and he's got to stick around for practice. When you go to between your hype meet week and stuff like that, between the last week of the regular season and the Super Bowl, everything's locked down. Everything's quiet because this is a big deal going on, and football may not be the biggest deal in the world, but it kind of is. And so Travis Kelce sort of has to stay with his team and sort of has to get ready to work because he's got work happening next week. So he can't be with his girl at the Grammys. The other story is, will his girl be with him at the Super Bowl when she has a concert in Tokyo literally the day before? And Tokyo, because of the weirdness of time zones and magic and, all such things, she's actually going to be there. But now the big deal is, can she park her private jet? And is that a problem? Because rich people have these problems. I'd like to have those problems. I'm not rich. I don't have those problems. Let's go to the next story. Another problem that I don't necessarily have. Britney Spears' problem. Or technically it's Justin Timberlake's problem. Britney Spears fans troll Justin Timberlake by streaming her 2011 Selfish instead of new song. Justin had a kind of weird week. Kind of just sort of weirdy week. He did Saturday Night Live as a musical guest and kind of rolled in on the host and stole the show, which he seemed to do a lot. He talked bad about a couple of people, and he had his first single come back for his comeback. Coming back was the joke in Saturday Night Live that sort of ruined the actual monologue, and it didn't go out so well. Because the records went up for people streaming Selfish from 2021, done by a lady named Britney Spears, not by Selfish in 2024, done by some dude named Timberlake. So the joke's kind of on him. That Selfish got the big release from 14 years ago, as opposed to the one that was released now for now. A lot of the stuff, the backlash is coming because of the book that came out for Britney Spears a few months ago, her memoir, talking about how he cheated on her a lot, and how she actually got pregnant by Justin Timberlake, had an abortion, and then he cheated on her some more essentially. So the bad news about Justin Timberlake also being the weekend, the anniversary of the Super Bowl and the wardrobe well wardrobe malfunction. Say that 3 times fast. Became an issue. Justin's kind of an issue right now. Let's move on to the next story. This one was the fourth story for your engagement this weekend. This is a very quick one. Martin Short shuts down speculation he and Meryl Streep are dating. Is Meryl Streep and Martin Short an item? No. Martin Short has been a single, widower since his wife died many, many years ago, not dating anyone, doesn't date anyone, and addresses speculation in a podcast, because that's what we do these days, Club Random with Bill Maher, which is, I guess, a semi-show, semi-podcast. Streep and her husband have been separated for a few years, but Martin Short is not stepping in on that one. So, no story. There you go. Cute, but no story. Our next story, not cute, but should be a no story. Katy Perry and Orlando Bloom have stopped putting effort into a relationship. What we're having here is a relationship. Last year, when we ran through all the breakups, I just sort of assumed, I thought that these two had broken up because we knew we were talking about them and them splitting up. But essentially, their separation, their time together is just a super duper separation. They're still technically engaged, although fans are wondering if it's actually happening. But they're just not spending much time together. They're not putting much work into the part of the relationship. I guess they show up at places here or there, but they show up at places away with each other more than lately. It's just been a thing. We're not sure if there's going to be another round of bigger breakups for 2024, but right now we've had a couple happen, and this is one that's more or less an extended dance version. Katy Perry and Orlando Bloom still not really putting work into their relationship, even though I guess they seem to have a relationship. The tabloids seem to believe they're still relationshiping. Taylor Swift coming up in the next 2 stories, so there's your spoiler alert. But number one, the actual Taylor Swift story is Taylor Swift roots for Travis Kelce in reputation-coded outfit and curly hair at Chiefs-Ravens game. We're going to quickly go through this one because it really is really silly. But there's only so many Taylor Swift, Travis Kelce stories you can combine to kind of get them out of the way. And this is one we really couldn't. So she came to the game last Sunday, the championship game, in the black blazer, red sweater. Apparently, it has the vibes of some codes from some things that from one of her videos or one of her songs from way back when. A big Kelsey necklace going on to kind of accompany it. It's not the big old flashy red stuff she wore. You see, other folks wearing other things, but it just happens to be something that because everybody has to get a Taylor Swift story in there and dealing with the Chiefs so that it gets the views and the clicks. This one from People Magazine. Not really a great one. I'm going to have to judge it, and not a great one, but apparently it got the clicks. Number 2 story for this week. Now, let's take a pause and pull up the stats and get into gear for the number 1 story. The stats on this story give it a bump from the number 2 story as being 30% more engaging than that story. Of the story that's at the very bottom today, that's the story we're calling the almost relevant story of the week. We always call it that. It's number 228 on the stats, and it is 253,900% more engaging than that story that no one seemed to care for. This story got 8% of all of the engagement of all 228 stories this week. It is the top story in both the Facebook and the Twitter, and it's actually a combination. So that's sort of a cheat there, but the 2 stories separately were within the top 4. So that together they are one because they are essentially the same story. What are we talking about that is so pressing this week for the people of the world and Taylor Swift fans in general? It's this. X restores Taylor Swift searches after deepfake explicit images triggered block, which earlier was X blocked the Taylor Swift searches for images because of deepfakes out there. X did a thing this week, a good thing, you can say, a pretty good thing, where they blocked all the searches for Taylor Swift because basically before the championship game, there were a flood of these deepfakes that were Taylor Swift wearing KC colored gear in very naughty poses, wearing very little other than little strips of red, little strips of yellow, Swift's white. Essentially, a whole lot of fake images, deep fakes, and AI images created on Taylor Swift that were all on the naughty scale. Because of that, essentially all images for Taylor Swift were blocked from search for the good chunk of the week. At the end of the week, they opened the search back up. Hopefully, because people got better at it, people were doing less bad stuff. But at some point, you've got to open up the floodgates back to the business of what's going on. Taylor Swift is the biggest thing going. Searches for her are the biggest thing going. So you've got to get back in there, but they were able to police it for a little while. No word since they posted the opening, the update to this, that I've heard that had any serious or overly crazy issues with the more searches. Chances are it'll pull itself back up within the next 2 weeks. We have something called the story of the week. This is a story that we take from the top 10 and we give extra commentary to. We take this one specifically because it's one that you probably want to know more about or want to chat more about. And it's, I find one that kind of fits what the mold is going on. We basically search it. We basically shift them out and battle the titles back and forth to see which story kind of catches the biggest eyeballs, attentions for me to give to you. And it's Taylor Swift. Well, actually, it's not Taylor Swift. It's actually Britney Spears. It is Britney Spears fans trolling Justin Timberlake, and this is actually about Justin Timberlake and his very horrible bad week. What happened as we look back into the 20-year anniversary of the actual Super Bowl wardrobe malfunction. Looked at what happened at Saturday Night Live. Looked at his things he's doing that should be a great comeback, and the comeback joke that made things really, really worse about it. We're gonna hammer Justin Timberlake. So Britney fans, you're gonna love this one. Justin fans, you're probably not gonna like this one. Chris Kirkpatrick fans, you're going to be on an iffy part. You'll be iffy. I'll say that. We'll go with that. But story of the week for this week is going to be on Justin Timberlake, technically. But the spotlight for it, the spark for that is Britney Spears and her fans trolling Justin Timberlake. Let's go to the sponsor for this week. And this week we are glad to talk once again about Ground News. Ground News is a great source for news because one, it's a great source for news. Two, it's an awesome aggregator that pulls stories from various parts of the internet, various highlights, various different sources. And three, it tells you what those sources are thinking about the stories themselves and the topics themselves. What you find at Ground News is a meter that tells you basically how well a story is being covered by the media, whether the right wing or the left wing is doing more coverage or whether it's straight down the middle, or in some cases, whether the right wing or the left wing is doing all the coverage and no one's hearing anything about this because not so as much a fake news story, but it's a bit misleading as the headlines may go. Go to Ground News and get yourself a better outlook on the news that's out there. See some stories that you may have missed because your media source isn't covering it, and see some stories the way you've not expect to see them because your media source covers it one way and the other media sources do the other, and you can see where they meet in between. We ask you to go to Ground News and do this, and do it via our link at our website. It's an affiliate link, so we get a small commission if you join up with them using the link. This is a conversationproject.com/ground news. This is a conversationproject.com/ground news, and you can be a part of the revolution that is people who want to know more about their news and have the stomach to see what other people are saying about their news coverage. Because part of the problem is in the silos and media bubbles that we live in, we don't want to hear what the other side has to say because it's assumed to be a lie anyway. Chances are it's not a lie, it's the same words, but just not hyping up your guy as opposed to the other guy. Ground News can help you figure that out if you're willing to give it a chance. If you're here on something like the Conversation Project, you know we do both sides-ism all the time, sometimes better than others, and this is all about what this is. Find out what stories are being covered that you don't think are being covered by using Ground News, and use our link. This is a conversationproject.com/ground news, and you can help us get a little bit by getting a small commission from you engaging in Ground News. You can get right now news for less than $1 a week. It's that simple. It's go do it right now. We also want to talk about us, the Conversation Project. We live at this is a conversationproject.com. And when you go to see the Conversation Project at our website, you'll see many things about us. Now, this is February, and February, the month of love, as it is because of Valentine's Day and things like that. We're really going to hype it up because this is the month that we do our serious pledge driving. So we're going to ask a lot of asks from you today. We're going to ask you to go to our website, this is conversationproject.com, and look for lots of things that are new to you. Look for replays of things. Look for things to share with others. We really need you to share things with others. We're also going to ask you for more support financially. stop by the sponsors page and stop by the partnerships page. See if there's other sponsors that you can use to help you get stuff better for you, and we get commissions from that. See if you can help us directly by being a partner with us, sponsoring us directly to keep things going for the Conversation Project. We tell you every single February, looking to gather $200 extra, 200 or more dollars in our coffers for a monthly subscription, monthly pledge to folks to keep things going, keep things growing here for the Conversation Project. We're going to do it again, looking for $200 to grow what we have going here. $200, not just for the month, but consistently as a monthly giving. So if you think you're ready to help us out with that, we'll take what we can. We have links to, if you're going to just do it for a 1 month thing, you already have, we'll take that as well. We have links for Venmo and also for Cash App to get to us here. But we also have the subscription at Buy Me a Coffee. So look for that at our main website. This is theconversationproject.com. Let's get back into the news. And this is where we talk about the almost rans. The almost rans are the stories that are 11 through 15, not quite there, but still close in range. And some of these we actually talked a bit about in the daily stuff, because as we go day by day, there's a certain number in the top 10 for the day, and then the top 10 for the week. Number 11, Psychic says Meghan Markle will struggle, feeling disappointed and shortchanged after negotiations for deal she wanted falls through. Struggle, disappointed, and shortchanged are in quotes because those were what came from the Psychic. Basically, Meghan Markle's going to have something that's not going to work out this year, and she's going to feel bad about it. What it is, because they're psychics, we don't really know. Maybe the avocado on her toast won't be so great sometime down the line. We don't really know. This is a sad story, but we put it in here literally for clicks to get people attention, and it got attention. Porn star Jessie Jane found dead at 43 alongside boyfriend. We posted this on Sunday, so last weekend, and it lasted all weekend for the most part until the very end, until we got to this weekend's countdown. You can check out the link for the more of that story there. Pokimane partly blames pubescent little boys and Manosphere Red Pill BS for ditching Twitch exclusively. Pokimane, the Twitch once exclusive Twitch streamer, is now doing her thing on YouTube and doing things fairly well, but lost the Twitch juice and the Twitch numbers because essentially, as you can see in the article, a bunch of just douche dudes just acted up and were just being mean to her. And not just being mean to her, being profane, being misogynistic, being pretty ugly and nasty. You can check that out as well. Number 14, Sofia Vergara sued by drug lord Cruzella Blanco's son. Family is no way associated with Netflix series. So a comment came out about this one that basically puts it all into place. The son of the drug dealer is suing Netflix over the fact that the TV show they made about their family is putting a tarnish on their family reputation when they're a family of drug dealers. I mean, this is not a surprise. He understands that his father and his mother and his grandson, whatever. This is one of those things like, and the biggest point is actually they didn't actually consult the family for the details of the story. They just basically kind of went on news stories, went on what some people said in some recaps, and of course made up stuff, because half the stuff these things are always made up or embellished. That's the real problem. But yeah, the bad embellishments are essentially a tarnishing to the family life. And number 15, Cal Ripken Jr. and Grant Hill among group who agreed to buy the Orioles. Another person in that group is former mayor of New York, Bloomberg, and the former mayor of Baltimore as well. So a big group of people who are going to, as the family that owns the Orioles, are graciously wanting to let it go to the next generation. The next generation will be some people who should be fairly good hands to take care of it. Finally, the story no one cared about. The almost relevant story of the week at 2:28. Remember, this story, as it was, is 253,000% less engaging than X restoring Taylor Swift's search for all those pictures. The headline reads, "The gas stove fight is finally over." Guess what? There's a fight for gas stoves. You probably heard that one in some things that, well, this is weird. But there is a state-by-state regulation on energy for gas stoves. The Biden administration just squashed that by issuing a new Energy Department regulation to cover the nation for tightening efficiently for the requirement for the small fraction of gas stoves in the market. These aren't just, they are the stoves on your kitchen table, but most people in most cases are upgrading to electric because electric is sort of more convenient, and most of them don't even have the curl stuff. People have the glass top stoves. Gas stoves, which are were the best thing in the day, are not so much as popular, but people who want them. And so, like, if you're working in a restaurant or you have some sort of commercial kitchen thing, sure. But if you're working in a home, it became an issue. Now, the rule garnered some support from stove manufacturers, energy efficient advocates, and consumer groups, and utility people. So, all the people who actually sell gas stoves are like, okay, we're down with this. Republicans can claim victory because the battle over Biden taking your gas stove is now over, even though it was mostly overreaction. And they can say, they found some way to make peace. And some Democrats are like, yeah, this was just a dumb fight in the first place, but okay. The fight will still go on in some local regulations, some local places where some places it might not be as amenable to live up to these standards, but that's locally. It's no longer a nationwide menace of Biden trying to take away your stoves. He is still barely trying to take away your steaks and your booze and whatever else, and get Taylor Swift to mind warp you or something. I don't know. I just don't know. Remember, the Conversation Project lives at this is theconversationproject.com. We can be emailed via the conversation inbox at gmail.com and follow our feeds, Facebook and Twitter or X. Facebook.com/this is the Conversation Project. Twitter.com/th underscore conversation. You can engage as well. I will let you know we are on a big fund drive for stuff. So stop by our website and check out the links for sponsorships and especially for partnerships because we can use all the help that you are willing to offer us. With that, we are done for the week. I am Jay Cleveland Payne. This has been the weekly wrap up for the week ending February 3rd, 2024. Thank you so much for joining us for the ride all week long and for the 25 minutes that we did this for today. Make sure you stay limber, stay hydrated, stay on task for all the grand things you're here to do today, tomorrow, into the year, into the future. And stick around, look for a different feed, or go to our website, look for the replay of this, other things we had all week, and of course, Story of the Week podcast for this week. This week we trashed Justin Timberlake. I'm not a hater, honestly, but it's just had a bad week. Had a bad week. Had a bad week. Look out all weekend long as you drop more hot takes as we get them in there. We got one in earlier before I recorded this on Finding Willis not being able to be the Batman of our future and save us from the Joker who would be Donald Trump. You can hate me on that one if you want to. We're going to do some Larry David Elmo stuff somewhere down the line too once we get a chance to really kind of understand what the hell is going on. And we'll drop other hot takes throughout the way in TikTok and in Facebook and on YouTube. So check those out as well. But what stories will we talk about next week? What will be the top 10 stories that you engaged in for the week and tell us to chat up in this little thing here? We'll see you in 7 days and we'll let you know exactly how things go down. Thank you so much. Love you. Mean it. Stick around for more things in our feeds and on our website. This is theconversationproject.com.